two things significantly that God is doing, and that is the basis of the New Testament. Number one, that the religion of the Jews will no longer be the basis of engaging God, because religion has failed God. And if the Jewish religion would no longer be the basis, that means no other religion will qualify, because the closest religion to God is the Jewish religion. So at the end of it all, God said, despite the fact that the Jews have an advantage, Paul wrote it. He said, what advantage then have the Jews? Chiefly because unto them were committed the oracles of God. Despite the fact that the oracles of God were committed to them, despite the fact that they had the advantage of priesthood, they heard the voice of God. They came out of Egypt. Now you will have thought, after 4,000 years of engaging God, that the Jews will find God. So because of that, God now made an adjustment. What's the adjustment? God now said religion will no longer be the basis of engaging God. It will be faith. And when we talk about faith, it comes at two levels. Number one, a faith walk. That means you have to have a personal faith with respect to your walk with God. You have to believe the scriptures, because everything is on the faith plane. Then number two, it must give you a faith project. If you don't have a personal faith walk and you don't have a faith project you're engaging on the face of the earth, you are still a Jew. Because for the Jews, it was all about serving God. Even Paul himself testified when he stood before one of the rulers. He said, these are our 12 tribes, instantly serving God day and night. He said, the hope I've attained unto is what they were hoping to come into. So you can't deny the fact that these people are trying to serve God. And unfortunately, that is still what a lot of people are still trying to do in church, trying to serve God. And that service of God doesn't translate to anything of socioeconomic significance. If you are just serving God as an end in itself, serving God, we are in church, we are Christians, we are holy and we are righteous, and you are not translating that energy into anything within the socioeconomic space, you are still very much in religion. That was why the Jews could not believe the gospel, because they were looking at Paul. They're like, you mean all that we have been doing since the last 4,000 years, we still need another message for us to be right with God? They said, forget about it. Stumbling block. Because they were looking at the fact that all the animals they brought, all the sacrifices they made. As a Jew, you go to Jerusalem 3 times. And Paul now came. Paul said, everything you guys have done so far is like filthy rags. The same way today, our Jewish Pentecostal mind, we have Holy Ghost meetings. We fall under the anointing. Prophecies are given, revival fire. Things are happening. But now, they banned Okada and Keke in Lagos. No single believer, but the spirit like Joseph, could write a blueprint to solve the transport problem in Lagos. That is what religion does. You are just super spiritual. You are not supernatural. And to show that this is what is obtainable, with all these things the Jews were doing, they were still under the dominion and the domination of the Romans. You will have thought the Jews have spiritual power. They should conquer the Romans and conquer the Greeks. When the Jews revolted in AD 70 and they didn't want to be under the rule of the Romans, that was how Jerusalem was leveled to the ground. You see, it was the Romans that burnt down the temple of Solomon. The disciples came to Mount of Olives and they were showing him the beautiful temple. Jesus already prophesied it. He said, it's not about a physical temple. And that was what Paul started teaching at Athens. The first statement Paul made at Athens was, the God who is the Lord of heaven and earth does not dwell in temple made with human hands. So if Christianity was tied to that physical temple, the day it was burnt down, that would be the end of Christianity. That was why ever before it was burnt down, the Greeks already took the gospel to the ends of the earth. And it was not attached to any physical temple. And that was why the likes of Peter couldn't take the gospel to the ends of the earth. Because their Jewish mindset is non-inclusive. It's us. We must not go to the Gentiles. No, even the Lord showed Peter a vision that it was time to go to the Gentiles. Peter said, no, Lord. God said, what I have cleansed, don't call common. Peter said, you are God, I'm Jew. And that is what we all say in different ways, by sounding so spiritual. You know what we're saying? God will say there's a problem in Nigeria to be fixed politically, socio-economically, but we are somewhere, we lock ourselves up, we're praying in tongues for 10 hours. At the end of the 10 hours, we generate spiritual capital. Then translate that spiritual capital into solving. So it is a shame that you are complaining about the transport system in Lagos, because the solution is in your spirit. But because we are so disconnected from the society, we are just spooky. We are not spiritual. Because when you are spiritual, you will fix the problem of the society. When you see Isaac digging wells, you think he was just digging it for himself. Isaac was providing irrigation infrastructure for his generation as a man of faith. When you see Abraham raising 318 servants, fighting, That is the same thing you do as an NGO. You raise an army to fight for a cause. So what kind of faith do you belong to that you don't have a private army to mobilize in time of war? So Abraham wants to go to the war and stand there and say, no bullet must touch me. I'm the father of faith. I'm the father of faith. You are gone. Because if this war is fought with an army, you must have your own army too. God is saying, I've empowered you by the Spirit to solve social problems. But because you feel being spiritual is people falling under the anointing. Don't misquote me. I'm not saying it is wrong for people to fall under the anointing, but I'm saying being spiritual is deeper. Being spiritual. You see, when God anointed Jesus Christ of Nazareth, is our first example in Acts 10:38. The first thing he did was to go about doing good. So being spiritual is firstly for the collective good. You see, healing those who are oppressed of Satan is what we call spiritual, without any iota of doing good. You want to solve a problem, not for your own sake, but for the sake of the society. That you look at an evil in the society, what we call an anomaly, a social evil, a social imbalance in the society, and you want to correct it. Who goes about doing good and healing those who are oppressed of Satan? For God was with him. That is what it means to be anointed, doing good. When Paul started saying, the wisdom of the Greeks is also from God. The Jews were offended. The Persian Empire became the world power. God wanted to punish Israel. Where did he send them to? To Persia, to Babylon. Why Babylon? But only for Daniel to get there. Daniel now understood that what we carry as Jewish heritage was 10 times better than what, you see, Babylon became great with an inferior wisdom. That means if that 10 times better that Daniel and his companion had been put into nation building, Jerusalem will be greater than Babylon. There will be no point going to Babylon. For Babylon will come to Jerusalem. So they took the intelligence to lab. They did a thematic analysis of the intelligence of Babylon vis-a-vis the intelligence of Zion. And they found out that Zion was 10 times better. That was without the blood, without the cross, without the Holy Spirit inside you, without tongues. What do you think? How many times better do you think it's going to be now? And to show how better they were, it was not just tested in cognitive social sciences in the lab. You know, they did their data and they found out. They even tested it in fire. Fire refused to burn them. They also tested it with lions. So potentially what they had was better. But those who had something inferior built an empire, ruled the world with something inferior. You see, may God open our eyes to see that the solution to the damning problem of Nigeria is not in Aso Rock, it's in the church. And until this church arises, this is the kind of nation we get.